Good morning, Tehmina Khan here with video number 2 on hypothesis testing. In video 1, we studied the language of hypothesis, what is the meaning of different terms and terminologies which we will use in the questions. So now from this video onward, we will only see the past paper questions to understand the concept. And like I said in the previous video when I ended, that all my examples initially will be of the type binomial distribution, and with the help of that I will try to explain the concept of all the terms like type 1, type 2 error, upper tail, lower tail, everything, right? In how many ways the question can be asked. And before I start the question, look at this blog address. This is my blog address which has all the links of my uploaded videos. So if you are interested, you can go to that blog site and see the videos. So let's start the question. We did one question in the last video, so let's continue from the next question. Okay, so this question is from November 7 and it is on binomial distribution, and you have to perform hypothesis test basically. And like I said, it can be solved using binomial or normal approximation, but I'm using only binomial distribution. So for example, in the question it is said that Isaac claims that 30% of the cars in his town are red, and friend says, or he thinks that no, proportion is less than 30%. So the boys decided to test Isaac's claim, right? Because when we perform test, I said we perform test to reject or accept null hypothesis, right? Which is actually understood or taken because of previous researches or whatever the observation. So we have to test either Isaac is right or wrong. And we will perform the test as 5% significance level. And for the sample, we have taken 18 cars, and out of those 2 were red. So let's see what does the test say about it. So again, like I said in the previous video and showed you, that there are 7 steps we must mention in each question when we are solving hypothesis or applying hypothesis test. So first is about the variable. Let x be the number of red cars in a town where x is a binomial distribution 18, p. And then after that you describe your null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So null hypothesis is 30%, which is equals to 3, but his friend says that it is less. So it means alternative hypothesis is less than 0.3. So we have described that. Now we have to describe the distribution if H0 is true, right? Considering H0 that it is true, we define the distribution and perform test on it. So binomial distribution, it is 18, 0.3. And out of 18 cars, 2 turned out red. So this is my test value. So I will test probability of x less than or equals to 2. We will see later. So now we have to tell the tail also and the test also. So it is a one tail test because it is less than, and because it is less than, it is lower side. Diagram wise, if you want to see the sketch, it is here. Question says 5% significance level, it means it is 5% here. And now I am telling the rejection criteria. So before performing the test or calculating the probability, you must have to tell the rejection criteria, that in which case you will reject it. So you are saying, okay, I will check the probability of x less than equals to 2, and if my proportion or the probability will be less than 5%, it means it will be somewhere here, then I will reject H0. It means I am falling in this category and I have to reject H0. This is what question says, because this region is called critical region and this value is called critical value. There will be questions later on in which we will find out the critical value, right? Okay, so we have said that we will reject H0 if probability of x less than equals to 2 is less than 5%. This is the rejection criteria we have explained. So now we will calculate this probability. Less than 2 mean 0, 1, 2. So I'm performing binomial distribution, you know, NC, R, P, R, Q, and minus R, same formula. Like I told you, this is the prerequisite knowledge you should have, because we can't go all over from the beginning to explain everything. So binomial you must know for this, the formula and everything. So my answer came 5.9%, which is greater than 5%. It means I am not in the critical region. So since the probability is greater than 5%, so do not reject H0. You only reject H0 when you fall in the critical region. So in terms of context, you can say there is no evidence at the 5% significance level to reject Isaac claim. So what Isaac was saying? Isaac was saying that there are 30% cars in his town, and his friend was saying that no, the proportion is less. So we have no evidence to say that Isaac claim is wrong, because the probability is not falling under category of 5%. Now let's see the next question. Okay, so now let's see the next question. And like I said in the beginning, every question will have some new aspect, right? So that gradually we go from easy to difficult type of questions. So far in the two questions, we have just figured out the hypothesis test based on the probability. Either it was less than the significance level or not, means it is falling in the critical region or not. Now let's see in this question. So it is about the cereal manufacturer, and they said that 25% of the cereal packets have free gift. So they are basically advertising that there are free gifts in their packets so that people can buy more packet. So Lula says she suspects that true proportion is less than 25%, whereas manufacturer claims that it is 25%. So we have to test this claim at 5% significance level, and for that she select 20 packets. So number one, find the critical region for the test. So what does it mean? What is the critical region for the test? Mean at what value the probability will be less than 5%. Yes or no? So test value is not given to you here. So you will find out the value at which your probability will be less than 5%. This is the meaning of the question. So rest of the question I will read later. So let's find out the solution of this part first. Okay, so again, like I said, I will write down all these steps every time I will solve the question. So let X be the number of packets contain a free gift, right? And the null hypothesis, because the manufacturer claim was that it is 25%, and Lula suspect that the proportion is less. Because the suspicion is that it is less than 25%, I am drawing 5% on the left hand side. So it means it is a lower tail test, one tail, lower tail. So if H0 is true, then your distribution is 20, 0.25. So you always have to mention to your distribution after describing null and alternative hypothesis. Now you have to find out which value, means the packets 1, 2, 3, will give you probability less than 5%. So let's try. So first of all, I'm trying for probability of X less than and equals to 1. And I apply binomial method, and my answer is 2.4%. Now 2.4% is less than 5%. It means this value is falling in the critical region. Fine, perfect. But then I have to check, is this all, or 2 is also included in it, because I am doing by trial and error method. So I will try for 2 also, right? So probability of X less than equals to 2 also I will try. Okay, so I will try for 2, and like I said here, I am trying to find out the value, such value for which the probability is less than 5%, and it is a one tail, lower tail test. So when I checked probability of X less than equals to 1, it was falling under the category of 5%, but then I have to see is that all or there are more values. So I'm testing for less than and equals to 2 also. 0 and 1 I have already calculated and this was the answer. So I'm just adding x equals to 2 also. So my answer is coming 9.1%. Now this is more than 5%, right? So when I was checking probability of x less than equals to 1, answer was less than 5%. But when I checked for x less than equals to 2, my answer is more than 5%. So diagram, if I show you, when it is 1, it means the value is somewhere here. But when it is 2, the value is somewhere here. Because when I say less than equals to 2, the probability is 9 point some percent. It means it is from here till here. Are you getting my point? So it means 2 is somewhere outside the critical region. That's why this whole probability is 9%. And 1 is somewhere here inside. So it means this probability is 2.4 probability, right? So I can say, because question was saying find out the critical region, so I can say critical region is 0 and 1, 0 or 1. 0 and 1 packets contain gift. So probability of x less than equals to 1 is a critical region. If part 2, now look at the question of part 2. So part 2 was saying find the probability of type 1 error. Now here children get confused. You know where they get confused? They say, because they have studied that type 1 error and significance level is same thing, so they immediately say, miss, significance level is 5%, so type 1 error is 5%. They are right, but you see, we are testing at the critical region, at what value it is in the within 5%. So when we check at probability of x less than equals to 1, it was coming under the category of 5%, less than 5%. But when we checked at x less than equals to 2, it was going out of the region. So it means this probability, which was for less than equals to 1, is my type 1 error, right? So my type 1 error is 0.0243. So last part of the question was saying, state with the reason, conclusion she draw. Let's read the question. Okay, so the last part of the question is saying Lula finds 2 packets in her sample contain a free gift. So she found that 2 packets contain free gift. So if this is the case, then what conclusion she will make? Because she has just calculated the probability of type 1 error. So can you think what conclusion she can make if the value of x is 2? Because she said 2 packets contain free gift. Was 2 included in the critical region? We have just found it out. 2 is not included in the critical region. Graphically also I showed it to you that it is somewhere else. So she will conclude that 2 is outside the rejection region. No evidence to reject the claim. And what was the claim? Manufacturer said that 25% of the packets contain free gift. So now she has no evidence to reject it. So this is what she will conclude. Okay, so now look at this question. This is again a binomial question, and it is about type 1 error in critical region. In this question, it is about hospital and patients, that patients take appointment and then they do not turn up for the appointment. And the probability that they do not come for the appointment is 0.2. So hospital carries out some publicity and then they are hoping that probability will reduce. Because if probability increased, it means more patients are not coming. So after publicity, they are expecting that the probability of not turning up will reduce. So from here we get very clear hint what is our null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So can you tell me before I show you? Yes, you are right. The null hypothesis will be 0.2 and alternative hypothesis will be less than 0.2. Anyway, the first question is saying it is suggested that the first 30 appointments on Monday should be used for test. Now you have to tell with reason, sensible reason, why this is not an appropriate sampling. Right? In sampling and estimation topic, we have done all this in detail. So if you can recall, it is because you can write multiple reasons here. You can say that probability could be different on different days, whereas when we are taking random sample, the chances should be equal, right or no? So if you are talking about only Monday, because the Monday comes after the holiday, so maybe the appointments are more there. So the probability will not be same compared to the other days, or maybe later on the same day, right? So you can say probability could be different on different days and other time on Monday. So that's why it is not a appropriate sample. Okay, so part 2 is saying a suitable sample of 30 appointments is selected, and the number of patients who do not arrive noted, and now perform at 5% significance level your test. First explain why the test is one tail and tell the suitable null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So null and hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, so I have just asked and you have answered correctly. But why it is called one tail test? And will it be lower tail or upper tail? Think. You see, he was talking about that after the publicity, the time will reduce. So if I look at it sketch wise, so it means it is on the left hand side, because I am saying alternative hypothesis is less than 0.2. When it is less, it is lower tail. So you can say, because question is saying why the test is one tail, so you can say because we are looking for improvement and all those who do not take an appointment do come, such that all those who take an appointment do come. So improvement will be everybody who takes appointment do come. And in the question it is said that after publicity they are expecting it has decreased, yani कि rate of not turning up decrease. So probability of patient do not arrive will reduce. That's why it is one tail test. Now part 3 is saying calculate the type 1 error. Now it is written here that it is 5% significance level, but now you have to tell in terms of context what is type 1 error. Now type 1 error is the rejection of H naught, yes or no? And what is H naught here? It is 0.2% do not turn up, right? So in this context, if you conclude that the probability has decreased, or you can say that the publicity worked, then it means you are making a type 1 error, because you are rejecting H naught, and when you reject H naught, you are favoring H1, and H1 was saying that the patient not turning up is reducing. Fine. Then question is saying use the binomial distribution to find out the critical region. Let me show you the question. The question is saying use the binomial distribution to find the critical region and the probability of type 1 error. Now here again I will say, don't think that type 1 error you will straight away pick up 5%, because you will see which value falls in the region 5% and add that value what is the probability. That will be your type 1 error, right? Okay, so let's use the binomial to find the critical region. So again I have to find out the value here, right? If diagram wise, if I show you here, for example, yes, so I have to find out what is this value basically, either here, here or here, but it has to be in this region because it is 5% here. So when question says find out the critical region, it means I have to find out the value which comes in this region. So I'm saying the probability of x for such value is less than 5%, right? Then I will reject H0. So I'm doing trial and error method again. I'm doing x less than equals to 1. My answer is coming 1%. So it is in the critical region. So I will try at 2 now. If it will also come in the critical region, I will try for 3. So let's try. Okay, so now I am trying for x less than equals to 2. When I tried for less than equals to 2, this was the answer I have gotten from less than equals to 1 previous part. So I only tried for 2 now and added up. My answer is 4.4%, which is less than 5%. So this is also falling in the critical region. Let's try for 3. You keep trying until you get the value outside the critical region, because you cannot assume on your own that, okay, so this is it in the critical region. Maybe there are more values, right? So now I am testing for less than equals to 3. Up till 2 I have already calculated and the answer was this. I am copying down as it is. Then I am calculating for x equals to 3 here. When I add it up, it is 12.2%, which is more than 5%, right? So it means my critical region is x less than equals to 2. And for x less than equals to 2, the probability was this. So this is my type 1 error. So probability of type 1 error is this. Does it make sense? Let me explain you through a sketch. So the meaning of the question is, when we drew 5% and we checked the critical region 1, 2, they were all coming here because the probability was less than 5%. You see, at 1 it was coming 1%, less than 2 it was coming this, but when I checked less than 3 it was more than 5%. It means from here till here. So that's why it is out. Now the third part of the question was saying, in fact 3 patients out of 30 do not arrive. So what conclusion you will make based on your working up here? So if 3 patients do not arrive, so was 3 coming in the category of rejection criteria? Do you remember? You see, 3 was coming out of the region, critical region. So 3 was outside the critical region. So your conclusion is that if 3 patients do not arrive, there is no conclusion that probability has decreased, right? Or that publicity has worked. So that person will conclude that no, 3 is out of the critical region. It means there is no decrease in probability of patients do not arrive, right? I hope it makes sense. Now we will do more questions in next video, video number 3. So thank you very much for watching. If you understood little bit, press like button and subscribe it. See you. Bye bye.